It's really come up in the world. And then polytechnic schools, Rensselaer Polytechnic, Worcester Poly in Worcester, Massachusetts, Cooper Union in New York. I should mention that Cooper Union is free, is tuition free. Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology in Indiana. These are all good schools, but they may, and as Molly will talk about, there may be reasons to send your student there if they are not right at the top of their class. They may actually do better at a school like this. Then I want to just list some special cases to think about, and these are, again, things that may not be on everybody's radar. The first is the military academies. West Point, U.S. Naval Academy, U.S. Air Force Academy, these, and also the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. These are free. Although if you decide you don't want to serve in the armed forces, afterwards they are not free. You have to repay the government basically $35,000 a year. The admission for these three requires nomination, so you basically have to apply through your congressman to get admission. Each congressman is congressmen's senators and the vice president of the United States are each allowed to nominate 10, and the academies will pick from those 10. So, and that starts junior year. So that's something that, if you have a child who's potentially interested in that, that's something to think about earlier rather than later. Canadian universities, they tend to be significantly cheaper and they tend to be quite good quality, many of them. McGill is as good a university as any in the U.S. Toronto and Waterloo are very strong in math and physics. Dalhousie and Halifax has some very strong programs. Now, one thing about these schools is that other than McGill, they tend to be, the comparison points would tend to be a good state university in the U.S. So they're actually cheaper than many of them are cheaper to go to than state universities in the U.S. with out-of-state tuition. Not a lot cheaper, but a bit cheaper than that. And it's something, again, to think about. And then there are specialized schools. Juilliard, which is for music, Webb Institute of Architecture, Rhode Island School of Design, Fashion Institute of Technology, Embry-Riddle. If you have a child who is very, very, very focused on getting involved in the fashion industry, they may be better off going to FIT than they would be going to Princeton. Okay? At least professionally speaking, Juilliard the same way. As a musician, you're much better off going to Juilliard than you are going to Princeton. Princeton doesn't do a very good job at preparing performers compared to Juilliard. Finally, some other variables to think about. Where do I want to rank relative to my classmates? I'm always going to talk about that in a little bit more detail, but we do ourselves and our children no favor if we send them to a place where they're going to be at the bottom of the class. We also do them no favor if they're going to be too high above the average.